Once again, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. We'll get started in just a little bit here, but we've got some pretty cool stuff that we want to show you guys in Hummingbird for February. I know Gandhar is really excited. Again. Yeah. And you may notice our brand new video and audio setup that we have going on here. So should be pretty clean. Hope everyone enjoys the uptick in production values. We are in California, right? So we go Hollywood with everything that we do.
At least we are trying to.
We're trying. Quick heads up, if this is your first webinar, or even if you had a couple under your belt, as we go through the webinar, we'll have chances here and there to kind of answer any questions you may have on all the great features that Gandhar is going to be showing off today. Please do that in the Q&A section on Zoom. That's where we have, it's the easiest place to get all of your questions to us and make sure that we're getting everything out there that you want. We'll also share the recording of today's webinar after the fact. So if you want to revisit something, or if you want to send a link to maybe a coworker or someone else in your organization who would love to learn about all this stuff, we'll have that out to you pretty soon. And we usually send out a survey. We read all those surveys. We make sure to address any feedback you have for us, what we're doing well, what we maybe did not so well. There's always opportunities to improve, and we love hearing your guys' feedback. With that, it is 11 a.m. here in Newport Beach, California. So welcome to What's New in Hummingbird for February, and we'll hop right into it. So if you don't know me, my name is Stefan. I'm the technical trainer here at Tenant Inc. I'll be the QA moderator for today and just kind of your overall webinar host for everything. And with me, I have Gandhar. I'm sure everyone knows Gandhar, but Gandhar is our product manager for reports and business intelligence. He's also our main presenter for today. And we got a variety of things to cover today, huh? We've really, I guess the big thing in February is bringing all the improvements to reporting and different ways to report, and how you can limit the kinds of reports people can see. And I don't want to steal too much of your thunder, Gandhar. So
some really useful stuff.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, and I know showing this to some of the customers recently, seeing the smiles on like district managers' faces, seeing what people can do with the reports now is really, really great. So I guess the first thing that we wanted to hop into is we're bringing in some support for collated reports for PDF, right? So do you want to touch on that and why we've introduced it in Hummingbird?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is where I want to reiterate the fact which Stefan mentioned about feedback and opportunity, right? So back when we launched property groups, we got several feedbacks, and I know those feature request tickets are long to fill out, but those really help us in identifying what you guys need and what you guys want and how it should work, and that has really been useful. So, and that is something which we take it to heart, right? We go across every feature request ticket and we try to see where we can leverage any of those and find it or find ways to make the product more better and useful. So similar to that, we had this one opportunity or feedback, you can call it, back in October when we released our property groups. We had a couple of users talking about it, is that downloading reports for multiple properties or even property groups is cool. But the problem with that is right now I get all my numbers aggregated or consolidated. So even if you download management summary report for 5 properties, you get one management summary report with all the aggregated numbers. So your spaces are aggregated, your occupancy is averaged out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And main call out there was, this is good, but what would be really cool in this feature is where you can actually have just one PDF file and all the selected MSRs appended one below each other. So in short, collated reports in one file. And the use case for that was pretty huge, right? Like people were actually downloading one management summary report at a time for each property, and then they were using some PDF application to consolidate that, to collate that, and then send it to their banks or investors. So people are actually spending 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and on working this stuff out. And bigger the portfolio, the more effort that you'll be required to do, right?
Yeah.
So we wanted to make this process seamless, and it's not only for management summary, right? It could be other reports too, like move in, move out activity report. That is something which a lot of owners want to see or banks want to see.
Mhm.
We wanted to make sure that we avoid those clicks. We make sure our users don't really have to spend that much time on something which we can fix it right away. So that is what this feature is about. So an easier user story for this is that as a user, I should be able to generate reports for multiple properties or for property groups. And I should be able to download it, and I should just be able to send it out to my stakeholders, to my banks or investors without doing any multiple PDF consolidation or collation. And that's what we are trying to do. And I'll give you a demo of that.
Excellent. So I'll stop sharing here, launch right into it.
Yeah, and all the three features that I'm going to talk about today, couple of them are based on your feedback and opportunities that we thought that could enhance our product. And there's also innovation part of it. And the third feature that I'm going to talk about, that's an area where we are trying to innovate and try to make our product more scalable. So it's a mix of both. So right now I'm on the Hummingbird instance here.
Yeah.
And it's pretty seamless. It's not rocket science. You select any report, and for PDF format, you can select multiple properties here. So 1, 2, 3. And you'll get an option to run the report for consolidated and collated. Now, consolidated, you guys are already aware about it. It opens up like this. Your numbers are grouped together and you have all the data aggregated. Now with collated, what you're gonna do is, like I said, it makes it easy. You just download the report, generate it, and it is just one MSR report with all the MSRs appended one below each other. So you can use this file, straight away send it to your banks or investors.
Nice. So it breaks down each property by its own MSR.
Yeah.
So you're saving like, tons and tons of time. Let's say I have like 100 properties, right? Rather than having to spend like 3 hours of my day downloading each one, you just run it once and it's all in that file for you.
And send it right away.
Excellent. Very, very good. You said that this works for any report, right? So
yeah, this works for any report, static or dynamic, and even for multiple properties or for property groups too, right? If you wanna, if you're creating groups by state or by year open or management contact for your district managers, your properties below 85% or properties above 85% using performance category. You can do that for any group and you can still be able to generate it for multiple properties or for one property.
Very cool.
All right, so that was one feature. The goal was primarily to make it more user friendly and enhance or optimize the operation speed, which would be really useful for most of the operators.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So really, really cool. Saving a lot of time for everyone and kind of just expanding, the complexity that we have in reporting, which is great.
Yeah.
We don't have any questions on it right now, but if you guys do have questions throughout the webinar, feel free to post them in the Q&A. We're always glad to see those and we'll get to them between kind of our breaks here.
Yeah. It's pretty simple, but effective.
Yeah. We love simple and effective. All right. So new permissions too. So this is kind of exciting.
Yeah. So again, this is another opportunity and feedback that this is something which have been logging our feedback tickets for a while that now every employee in your company needs to have access to all the reports, right? So, and this has some big impacts too. So I've been talking with some of the owners and district managers where they want their property managers to access only certain part of financial reports or only management reports. They don't really want them to look into their accounting stuff and all of that. So you should be able to really gatekeep all that information you want for each of your roles that you have defined in your company. So it could be property manager, it could be district manager, it could be your call center employee, it could be your VP, right? It could be any one of them, and you should have the power to restrict what areas they want to see, and that's what we wanted to focus on. But not only areas, right? Not only limiting access to certain reports, but you also want to limit access to the actions that they perform on reports, right? You can edit a report, you can edit a custom report, you can delete a custom report, you can share it, you can schedule it. There are so many things you can do with reports, and you have to make sure that you account for each of those actions. So if you want a property manager to not schedule reports, or if you want your property manager to not delete custom reports, you should be able to control that too. And that is what we're trying to do here, to make sure that you should be able to ensure data confidentiality and only allow part of data which they should be seeing. Let me get into the Hummingbird instance again, and I'll show you how that works. Again, pretty easy. It's not fancy. But what I'm gonna do right now is I'm logged into my user. I'm gonna take one user. I'm gonna play around with this permission to restrict access to certain parts of the report. So let's pick up Tenant Studio. So this user as manager as its primary role. So that's checked out. Now I'll make sure that to the roles and permissions, I'll go to manager's permissions here. And this is where we have added all the report in permissions, right? Now what this is doing is, this is not only giving you an ability to select an entire section of reports, but you can also choose a particular report if you want. If you just want to give them access to accounts receivable, you can always do that, or just a part of management report. So all of these accordions that you see, or all of these subsections that you see are the same as what you see on the report. So you're pretty familiar with the look and feel of it. So yeah.
What happens if I click view report off? Can I still decide which reports people can view, or does that get rid of my ability to view all these reports?
So this is more of a header level permission. So you can either, if you don't want any of your employees to not have access to any of the reports, you can always disable this, and they won't be seeing any of the reports. I don't see why that could not be a use case, but I've had people just wanting their employees to look at spaces and tenants part, and not any of the reporting.
They have another role in their organization that handles all the reporting, right?
Like a call center employee. They don't really need to see all of this. So there's always a use case.
I know technically the spaces and report, or spaces, these tenants tabs that we have in Hummingbird, they're technically dynamic reports in a way. Does clicking that view report off, does that limit my access to those tabs, or can I still access them?
You'll still be able to access them. So those are considered as part of your operation stuff. So there's no permission attached to it. But based on how much feedback we get and how much information we can collect, we can think about getting permission set on those too. But I think those are essentially required for your primary operation. So we don't really see a use case there.
Excellent.
But there's always a dialogue for feedback, for communication there to see how that works.
Very good.
And what I'm going to do for this manager role is, they have access to all these reports, but these are the actions that I talked about, right? Whether you want to limit their access for downloading reports, or do you want to limit their ability to create custom reports, or even scheduling it or sharing it for that matter, right? So all are the actions that where you can decide if they want to, if you want to restrict their permission or not. So for this demo, I'm gonna take off certain permissions. I'm gonna give them access to all the management reports. I'm gonna give them access to maybe ARG report, and so they have access to just all the management reports and one financial report. And then I'm gonna also take off custom report abilities, and then deleting two. I'll just take that off for now. Downloading two, and schedule reports, I'll just keep it the way it is. I'm going to update the permissions.
And when you update permissions, you need to log out and log back in to make sure that those permissions take effect, right?
Yes, and that's across all the permissions in Hummingbird, where you'll have to log in, log out, and log back in. So I'm just going to use that Tenant Studio, that manager role that we talked about. I'm going to sign into this. All right, so I'm now logged into as Tenant Studio with my manager role. And here. So you don't see all of the reports now, you just see the reports that you have access to. So you see all the management reports, and you also see that one financial report that you shared. So you should really be able to restrict any report that is on a reports model. But if you remember, we also took some permissions off, right? One of the permissions that we took off was download option. So if you don't give them download option, they won't be able to download that report for starting. But in case of dynamic report, they'll see the data in their data viewer, but they won't be able to export it in PDF or Excel. So the download functionality essentially works when you want to export the data to your system. So that's how the permissions work. So they'll still be able to perform operations. So this is really good. You can still have them view the numbers and everything, but you're just taking away their ability to download it and put it into the system. So you can always play around with it. And what you also will notice here is they don't have an ability where they can create a custom report. So we took that permission off too. So now they don't have any icon which shows save report. So that has been taken off too. So they will no longer be creating their custom reports. And similarly, it comes to sharing. It comes to sharing reports too. So if they don't have access to share reports, this icon will be gone too. So essentially, there's a permission on every action that you can perform on the reports model.
So you can go as big or as small as you'd like, right?
Yeah.
You can completely disable all reports, or you can say you have access to everything in the world, or you can tailor it by role, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, and one of the use case which was there on that slide that we shared about deleting reports, right? So one of our customers was really struggling with it. So he created a report, he created a custom report, shared with 3 of his property managers. And a month later, he realized that the report that he created is not the best. He wants to create another report. So he went ahead and created another report and shared with his team again. But what happened is the previous report that he created, he got rid of it, he deleted that report, but it just deleted the report for himself. And it wasn't really deleted for other property managers, for his property managers. So that caused confusion. Some of his property managers were using the previous report, or some of them were using the new report. So this was all sorts of miscommunication there. And there's no alignment on what report to look at. So we also introduced delete permission abilities, right? So now if you're a creator of the custom report, you get an ability. Let me go back here. Okay, so this is my account. Now I have access to deleting custom reports. Now, if I try to delete a custom report, which is not created by me, I will get an option like this, which says delete for myself. But if I create a custom report, let me see if this one has access. I think it's this report who created this. Or you know what, we can actually just go ahead and create a custom report.
There you go, yeah.
Let's just do it right away. Active directory, I'm going to create a custom report.
And this is great because it really does sit in the hands of the original author of the report, right?
Yeah.
So you couldn't have a malicious user go in and just delete, maybe there's a custom rent roll report that you created. They couldn't just go in and it's like, oh, I have access to see the report. I'm suddenly just going to remove it for everybody, right?
Yeah, you don't really, exactly. You don't want anyone messing with a report that you created, right?
Yeah.
You definitely don't want to be in that position. So I'm creating a custom report. I'm just gonna share it with a few people. I'm gonna call it as active report. So report shared, saved. So I've shared it with a couple of my users. And I'll see that report available here. Now what I can do is, what was the name again?
Active report, yeah.
So what I can do is when I try to delete it, I get an option to either delete it for myself or delete it for everyone. Because I'm the author or the owner of this custom report, I can make sure that if this report is no longer needed, I'll just delete it for everyone. And it will be gone for everyone who that report was shared with. So this gives you complete control over of what custom reports you create and who all can see it. And then even if you created it, you can always take it off and make sure no one else sees it. So,
Very nice.
so each of the permissions we've taken care of these different use cases that we think could be useful. But yeah, again, if you find certain areas where you think there needs to be a permission here too, we're always open to that. And we'll make sure we'll consider that in the next iteration.
Very nice. Yeah. Yeah. And if you guys, again, have any questions about anything that you're seeing right here, use that Q&A box. Allows us to really go in and tackle those questions right now during the webinar, which is great. I think the last thing we want to cover today, is the reports download history. So when I first saw this, I was super excited because the amount of utility it gives owners and the amount of ability to go back and kind of see what you've done is really cool. Like you said, it's nothing fancy, but it's effective. So walk us through kind of the user story here and what this allows people to do.
Yeah, and I think the user story is pretty simple.
Yeah.
But it's really solving a couple of problems, right? So user stories, and this is something it's more of a innovation and scalability feature that we released because we're growing inside. We want the reports to be downloaded quicker. We want them to be secured and all of that stuff. And you also want to make sure you have a history of it. So even if you change your laptops or if you're a different browser, if you're deleted your history in your download folder, you don't want to lose that reports. So we are making sure that we get that complete experience where we have a history of all your report downloads that you've done. That's the simple use case here. And I can share my screen and take you on the Hummingbird instance here.
You brought up a really good point, which is what if your computer dies, right? And then you suddenly lost all the reports you downloaded, right? It happens, right? So,
happened to me,
oh, there you go. Yeah. So this is your user story again. That's what you're saying. Yeah.
So you'll see this report download history tab appearing here. Let me go back to the primary user. Okay. So you'll see a report download history tab showing up here. And this is specific to every user. So you cannot really see what your other property managers or district managers are downloading. So this is specific to your account, your user. But this is gonna show all your download history in last 2 months. So the reason why we have last 2 months is we're trying to play around with scalability. We want to see if we can if it affects any of your performance or if there's any other impact associated with it.
Yeah.
If not, we'll probably make it more bigger 6 months and 1 year. But we just want to see the impact of it. So what it really is your view of your download history and when it was generated, what was the name of the report? Was it static or dynamic? What was the time period? So if it was just for a date or it was for a month or a specific time range that is selected, was it PDF or Excel? Was it collated, consolidated? So just a single property download. And was it an on-demand download, right? So was it a download button that you pressed? Or was it a shared report, right? Since you have a ability to share report, this will also be logging that. So you can always know whom it was shared with. You see the number of recipients whom it was shared with, the number of properties that are part of that report, or if there's any property group on that report. So all of this, and what we really want to go is, we want them to not go to the download folder and look for that, scrape through that download folder and find those older reports again, right? They can always just come here and download it again. So if you're in March and you want to look at your management summary in February, which you remember downloading it, you don't have to go ahead and download it again. You can just come here and download it. That saves you time, or it's essentially you don't have to go to your downloads folder and find that file again. So it's really convenient when it comes to comparing reports and stuff like that. But this is the start of download history, and where we want to go and what we want to achieve is we also want to have scheduled reports show up here, so that you'll now be able to monitor your scheduled reporting, right?
Yeah.
So if there's a failure in your scheduled report, there will be a status column which will say that there's a failure in your scheduling those reports, and there will be a reason for it. So was it a generation error or was it a communication error? And there will be an option where it will allow you to resend it again. Now that's really cool because if you realize your end of the month scheduled reports are not getting thrown in your inbox, you can come here again. You can understand if there was a status failure or not. If it was, then you can come here and resend the link again and make sure the download happens or the scheduling happens. So that's what we want to go with this, and there's a bigger purpose there's a bigger problem that we want to solve here, and this is just the start of it. To make sure that all your report download history is in one page, in one place.
Very cool.
All right. I think that was the last feature that I wanted to show, which concluded our opportunities and innovation and scalability. So I think we touched all those points there.
Very good. Yeah. So thank you, Gandhar, for all that. I think the theme for today was simple but effective. So I'm loving all the changes that we're bringing in, kind of the redundancy we're adding in the platform to make your reports secure, making sure that you get everything that you need, and then all those different ways to deliver stuff. So we do have a couple questions rolling through right now. One question we have is, in the future, are we going to be able to kind of group users together by a particular area or by a particular region? So let's say like I'm the district manager for like Southern California, and I have all my call center agents that work under me. In the future, do we have plans to sort of make it so that we can group them together? Or is that something that is, we haven't necessarily thought about at the moment?
Yeah, I don't think I've necessarily thought about it at the moment, but this calls up for the feedback ticket that I'm talking about. So it would be really cool if you can document this and find the proper use case and how you guys are expecting that feature to look, and we can definitely look into it.
Sounds good. And that we call that the FRP, right? The feature request. Yeah. So,
right.
And I think typically you're reaching out to your customer success managers. If you'd like to get that form, we can go ahead and put that together for you. So reach out to them if you have anything that you think would be a great idea for Hummingbird. We're more than happy to accommodate you there. Let's see. We have another question here. Let's see. Will the locks be implemented into Hummingbird? Once the new tenants do the online process, they have the opportunity to buy one of our locks. So I think this is maybe more like a merchandising question, the ability to buy that. We can follow up on that for you. It's not necessarily Gandhar's area of expertise, but feel free again to message your CSM or your customer success management rep here at Tenant. And we can go ahead and follow up on that. And I do agree, these reports are a wonderful idea. So there we go. I know that we have an hour blocked out. Feel free to ask more questions, right? We have no problem giving people, half an hour back, etc. So, right now we don't have any other Q&A questions at the moment. Gandhar, was there anything else that you kind of wanted to touch on before we close out for today?
No, I think we covered everything, but there's one more point which I want to iterate is the feedback part, right? It's good to see that you guys are loving these features, but the fact that this originated from your feedback and from your comments, right? So we really take all the feedback to heart. We make sure we read through it and make sure to document it and get it live in production. So we really appreciate that.
Excellent. Well, in that case, I'm not seeing any other questions coming through. Thank you all for attending. We really, really appreciate you guys being here, checking out all the updates that we have in store. And also, like Gandhar said, all the feedback and all of the suggestions that you bring to us, we really do take it to heart, and we try to make sure that we integrate it into the platform. If you have additional questions, feel free to email tenantacademy@tenantinc.com. If you have any questions about the webinar, how you can share this, etc. If you have any additional questions like those feature requests, reach out to your customer success managers. Thanks so much, Gandhar, for being with me on the webinar. Thank you everyone for attending, and we'll catch you all in the future.
All right. Thank you so much, guys.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.